Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, the West End Grand Bahama and Bimini MP says her constituents feel abandoned. 30 employees laid off at the Hilton, plus a family search for a missing man.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thank you for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Atlantis announced today that it will begin its phased reopening on July 7th. In a letter to employees, resort president and managing director Audrey Oswald said phase 1 begins July 7th, 2020, when we welcome our first guest back to the Royal Towers. In phase 1, Royal Bath, Mayan Temple, Power Tower, Zero Entry and Splashes will reopen. All beaches will open and Dolphin Key will open. The main casino, spa and Marina Village will open. Some, but not all of our restaurants and lounges will open. The statement said the launch of phase 2 will depend on business volume. The resort laid off thousands of employees in March after Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announced the closure of the country's borders in March. In her letter, Oswald indicated that only some of the employees will be recalled during the initial phase. Her letter continued, "We know that there will continue to be hardship for many of you. Be assured that we are making every effort to bring tourism back to previous levels so we may get you back to work." International commercial flights are set to resume on July 1st. Dozens of Hilton employees have been made redundant due to the economic crisis caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Bahamas Hotel Catering and Allied Workers Union said it had asked the resort to hold off on redundancies at this time. Bethany McDermott has more.
Our greatest fear has now come to reality.
That's the response by Hotel Catering and Allied Workers Union President Darren Woods, as some 30 employees of the British Colonial Hilton Hotel have been made redundant. It comes as the country's grim economic situation worsens amid the COVID-19 pandemic. According to Woods, the union urged hotel executives to hold off on the redundancies at this time, but that didn't happen.
We are concerned, though, with the fact that with the extension given by the government for the layoff period, in terms of the legality of it, because based on our limited interpretation and we have to get legal advice on it. Our understanding is this period has been suspended for redundancies.
A person in management at the Hilton told the Nassau Guardian that the hotel had kept 280 staff members through the pandemic. However, the cost of maintaining the staff complement has been astronomical when weighed against the loss in revenue. According to Woods, the employees received their separation packages yesterday. However, he said there are some discrepancies.
Like in any exercise of this magnitude, there is some discrepancies, and so we have to look at the individual cases to see if there's any merit to it. So our work for those employees didn't stop yesterday. It continues until we're able to bring either resolve or an understanding as to what they would receive versus what they would have been entitled to make sure the two line up.
The catering and restaurant departments were primarily impacted by the redundancies. With other major resorts preparing for a phased reopening, Woods was asked if the union is concerned that other hotels will take a similar action. He admitted it is a concern, although those resorts have indicated they have no intentions of doing so.
As far as we're concerned, we are preparing for the worst, so that so whatever happens, if something else happens, at least we are preparing for the worst. Worse remaining, there may be a possibility that other persons may be made redundant.
Now, Woods says executives here at the British Colonial Hilton Hotel informed the union that their intention is to rehire those 30 persons as soon as occupancy picks up here at the hotel sometime next year. Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
West End and Bimini MP Pakeisha Parker Edgecombe painting a very grim picture of the situation in her constituency, which she says has been neglected over the past decade and a half. While Parker Edgecombe acknowledged the government's current fiscal position, she accused successive governments of abandoning Bimini and West End. Jasmine Brown has more.
These communities, Mr. Speaker, have been neglected for years. I dare say abandoned and left to fend for ourselves.
West End and Bimini MP Pakeisha Parker Edgecombe summed up what she says is the situation on Grand Bahama and Bimini as she made her budget communication. Parker Edgecombe, who is also a parliamentary secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, says she was not oblivious to the current financial reality being faced by the Minnis administration. However, she insisted residents of her constituency have been left to fend for themselves after being neglected for too long.
The people of West Grand Bahama sent me in this place to represent them. We have no issue giving kudos to the government, my government, our government, and saying thank you when it is due. However, we will fight for what we know we deserve.
Parker Edgecombe said her Grand Bahama constituents are still awaiting much-needed aid in the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian, which devastated both Grand Bahama and Abaco in early September. Throughout the debate, Dorian, along with the COVID-19 pandemic, has been cited as an obstacle to the government meeting its original fiscal goals. But Parker Edgecombe says the fact is her constituents have had to face the harsh reality of successive storms for the past 15 years.
Imagine being devastated every time by flooding. Houses and businesses severely damaged, homes wiped away. Imagine, Mr. Speaker, being rescued amidst the most dangerous weather, having next to no designated shelters, having to rebuild with very little to no finances, and needing more help than what has been issued, or not receiving any help at all. Where roads are inundated with potholes in West Grand Bahama and help has yet to arrive, citizens themselves take to the streets and fill them in temporarily.
And Parker Edgecombe did not stop there as she hit out at the lack of infrastructure, investment, and educational opportunities.
Where is the progress, Mr. Speaker? It cannot be at the 8 Mile Rock High School, where the student population has dwindled drastically. It cannot be at the Louise McDonald High School, where there is a need for an upgrade to its curriculum and facility. It cannot be in the lack of scholarships being offered to deserving students of my constituency. It cannot be in infrastructure where potholes are rampant, seawalls are missing, or roads need paving. It cannot be in the financial sector where banking and development is nearly non-existent.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
19 Bahamian nationals and residents who were stranded in Cuba were set to return home on a Bahamas Air flight today. The government thanked the Cuban government for allowing those persons to return to the Bahamas while Cuban borders remain closed. Additionally, nearly 50 Bahamians who were stuck in the United Kingdom are set to return to the Bahamas on Thursday on a British Airways charter organized by the Cayman Islands government. The charter will travel from London to the Cayman Islands and Turks and Caicos Islands. Bahamas Air will then collect those persons from the Turks and Caicos Islands, in addition to 9 people who were stranded in TCI. A flight has also been organized for Haiti. A cable fault at Bahamas Power and Light Soldier Road substation led to power outages throughout several parts of eastern and central Providence this afternoon. In a statement, the company said the entire Wolf Road corridor was impacted, including Jerome Avenue, Soldier Road North, a portion of Marathon Road, Blair Estates, and Village Road. BPL said it is currently investigating what caused the cable to fault. This latest round of outages came just a day after Works Minister Desmond Bannister said there is more than enough power to supply the island for the summer, and that if there is an outage, it is because of an isolated incident. Well, the family of a man who has been missing for a week says they are growing more concerned as the days go by. Jared Hake spoke to them and filed this report.
Looking forward to hear him talk his jokes and stuff like that. So I know, well, something is wrong because
46-year-old Desiree Edwards was at a loss for words as she described her missing son, 25-year-old Trevon Edwards. Edwards' family say he was last seen on June 3rd in Eleuthera. Police released a missing persons flyer for him on June 5th. His parents say they're going crazy.
We're not sleeping at all. Too much days has gone by.
Our News spoke to Edwards' parents via Zoom as they are currently in Governor's Harbor, Eleuthera. Their son, who is from New Providence, was last seen by his godfather leaving the home they share in Governor's Harbor, Eleuthera. The man says Edwards left home shortly after 6 and was carrying a backpack when he left. His last text to his mom was the night before.
I rang him directly from my phone, not over WhatsApp, and it went straight to the recording.
The worried family grew more concerned when the evening curfew approached and Edwards still hadn't showed up. His mom described their relationship as close and says it isn't like him not to get in touch with her or his sisters. Now she's getting anxious.
These days are just scaring you now. You know, it's very frightening. It's too many days and nothing. And that's not like him.
Edwards' father, 53-year-old Trevor Edwards, is also deeply worried.
It's my kid, and it's he used to work with me, so you know that's not a pleasant feeling for someone to go missing. You know, who you love dearly.
Edwards' parents described him as a humorous and loving person who liked to share stories. They say he was in Eleuthera since March 17th, working on a construction project. With inter-island travel opening on Monday, the mother and father caught the first flight in. But now they say they need the help of the community.
We're like strangers on this island. See something, say something.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
All right, thanks, Jared. Still to come, the latest standoff between the Water and Sewage Union and executive management. Plus, the House of Assembly seating restrictions relaxed. Stay tuned. Members of the Bahamas Utility Services and Allied Workers Union gathered outside Water and Sewage Corporation today to stand behind their president, who claims his members are being intimidated, discriminated against, and victimized. Dwayne Woods once again called for all matters to be resolved and for Chairman Adrian Gibson to resign. Jillian Gray reports.
President of the Water and Sewage Union, Dwayne Woods, likened the plight of his union to that of the children of Israel stuck in Egypt, as he says 2 of his union members have been wrongfully victimized and punished. The 2 union members face disciplinary action by the Water and Sewage Corporation for 2 separate incidents. Woods described the latest matter as unfair, as he said that employee is a whistleblower who often speaks up when he sees injustice.
On the road they're on, it appears that anybody could be next. And when you start terminating with notice, my God, that's something for the private sector to do. Are all whistleblowers going to be punished nowadays? You be the judge. The union has referred both matters to its attorney, Mr. Wayne Monroe, for settlement. The tension between the union and executive management is just the latest in a long standoff between the 2 sides. Woods said both decisions should be reversed and is calling on the Prime Minister to step in. We would like to call upon the powers that be, as well as the stakeholders, namely the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert A. Minnis and the Minister of Works, the Honorable Desmond Bannister, to remove the executive chairman post haste. The union president said the COVID-19 pandemic had the Prime Minister tied up and unable to respond to their concerns. Now that the country is reopening, he said he hopes they get a response. The union is expected to go back to court on the 19th of June to resolve several other matters with the corporation. Woods said while those matters remain before the court, the union is handicapped, as that injunction prevents them from going on strike. Our greatest weapon that the union has is to be able to withdraw its enthusiasm. And because of the same Supreme Court injunction, we are not able to levy that punishment back to the corporation. So we're saying that the corporation continually, knowing full well that an injunction renders the union powerless, continually victimize and abuse the members of the union. Woods added that if the chairman would like to discuss the matters, they are willing to sit and talk. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Immigration Director Clarence Russell is slamming the department's promotion process, suggesting that the process used by the police force is more efficient. Russell, a former police officer, says the force has a dedicated group for promotions, whereas immigration officers are lumped with thousands of other civil servants.
What I find in coming into the immigration department is that, unfortunately, immigration, customs, and several others, their promotions are found through the Public Service Commission. I think you know that that is in excess of 18,000 persons. I'll throw this out to you. The police department has been so successful because what we did there was we have a police service commission that deals specifically with police promotions. The prison service, if I'm being so bold to say, is in the process of having a prison commission so that they will deal with their promotional exercise.
Russell was responding to questions concerning a promotional exercise at the Department of Immigration and when that may take place. He says it is on the agenda.
I look forward to the day, hopefully prior to my exodus, where other agencies would perhaps be incorporated and have their own commission who specifically deals with the issue of promotions and so many other issues. And so I acknowledge there has been for years a concern. I think that is what has depleted the ranks. And then every year you have retirements. You have persons who leave the service. You have persons who are unfortunately dismissed from the service. And so there's a tremendous need. It's very topical. This minister and this new permanent secretary are very much aware of exactly where we are with regard to promotion, and it is being addressed as we speak, aggressively.
The House of Assembly is set to lift some of its social distancing restrictions that were put in place in late March. Speaker Housen Moultrie telling Parliament today that more members of Parliament will be allowed to sit in the lower chamber.
From this point forward, 3 members of the opposition will be in chamber and the other opposition member will rotate in. 24 members of the government caucus will be in chamber and the other 8 will rotate in, and 1 member of the independents will rotate in.
In late March, social distancing measures resulted in some MPs being seated in the gallery while a limited number of MPs were allowed on the floor of the House. Moultrie said the decision to relax restrictions came after numerous complaints by MPs.
Believe me, members, it is because I'm getting constant requests from members who are entitled to be in chamber who are downstairs in the majority room.
Still to come, inside NCA's one-of-a-kind graduation ceremony. Stay tuned. You're watching Our News. Welcome back. Following months of uncertainty due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Nassau Christian Academy's class of 2020 returned to the school's campus today for a graduation ceremony like none other. Georgia Bain has more.
It was no ordinary day for students and teachers here at Nassau Christian Academy as the COVID-19 pandemic forced the school to be a little bit more creative, a drive-through graduation for seniors of class of 2020. Parents and guardians decked out their vehicles with graduation balloons, ribbons, and even photos of their children Wednesday morning as the seniors of the class of 2020 at Nassau Christian Academy went down in history, having the school's first drive-through graduation ceremony. On one end of the parking lot, parents lined up their vehicles, waiting patiently to have their children's names called. They then drove to the front of the stage where the students came out, sanitized their hands, and walked up to receive their high school diploma from the school's administrator. One of today's graduates, Candace Brown, said that she was saddened when she heard the news that her graduating class may not have had a ceremony, so she decided to find a solution to the vexing issue.
I was really scared about what we were going to do. I was immediately online searching for ways we could graduate so I could just have this special moment with me and my family.
Danielle Young said that she is grateful for all the memories of high school.
I'm thankful that I was able to have a chance to at least walk, even though it wasn't the walk that I wanted.
Arriving in grand style on top of a Jeep and waving at his classmates, head boy and class president Michael Prescott Jr. encouraged his classmates to keep pushing.
What it means for me to walk across the stage is just a moment of satisfaction because I know even some schools, they didn't even have the opportunity to even have anything like this. So I am grateful for the opportunity.
Class valedictorian Antonia Ferguson said her graduation still means the world to her and her family after she climbed from a 2.8 GPA to a 3.8 and graduated top of her class.
Just strive to be the best you could be. You're going to be doctors, lawyers. I want to be a marine biologist and a professional mermaid. So just do what you have to do and you'll be great. I believe in all of you.
Acting Principal Lisa Miller also had words of encouragement for the class of 2020.
This is an example of a challenge that they have already overcome.
Reporting for R News, I'm Georgia Bain.
Congrats to the class of 2020. Still to come, the Salvation Army donates 10,000 masks to PHA. Stay tuned. Finally, in news tonight, the Salvation Army has partnered with Coca-Cola to donate 10,000 N95 masks valued at $40,000 to the Public Hospitals Authority to aid in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Salvation Army Divisional Commander Major Clarence Ingram was on hand for the donation.
On behalf of the Salvation Army and Coca-Cola, I want to present you with 10,000 K95 masks for your medical needs for the COVID-19 relief efforts. And we do thank you for the efforts that you are making at this time.
The donation comes as the country continues through to Phase 4. PHA Deputy Director for Supplies Management, Audley Bain, says the donation will go a long way as every patient that enters the hospital must be treated as if they were a COVID-19 patient.
Masks are is one of the most important things that we have to use. So this presentation today is going to go a long way in doing what we need to do. Because, you know, everyone that comes in now should be treated as a COVID patient. So you need a mask for every patient that you come in contact with, and these will really do what we need to do.
Thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Kyle Joaquin. Remember, you can catch Our News on the go with Revigo Play app. Have a good Wednesday evening, Bahamas.